Joseph Herron here with Rick Morones, young aspiring trainer from San Antonio, Texas. He is the proprietor here at the Team Morones Boxing Club, and he's here to give us the Boxing 411. Big fight coming up, Rick, at the Alamodome March 1st, Saturday night. It's going to be Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Brian the Warrior Vera, the rematch. Brother, in your mind, what makes this fight so intriguing?
Well, you got two guys, coming into a fight with a chip on their shoulder, both still trying to prove something. What makes this fight so great is Brian Vera's trying to prove, hey, I belong in the ring. I belong in this class with fighters such as Chavez Jr. He's trying to prove that the first fight wasn't a fluke. He's going to come in here and with a great game plan. He has a great trainer, Ronnie Shields. They're going to make those proper adjustments, and he's coming to fight. And Chavez Jr. on the other hand is, he has he's carrying a big name on his back, and, he knows he has something to prove. He has a $250 fine, if I'm correct, right, waiting for him for every pound he's overweight. And actually, this is actually Chavez Jr.'s first fight coming in as a father. He just had his first child, so, hopefully he has that little mature mentality coming into this fight. And, both guys have a chip on his shoulder, still trying to prove, and Brian Vera fighting in his home, basically in his backyard in San Antonio in front of all his Texans fans. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a war. I think earlier in the week, Brian Vera was quoted saying, this is going to be the fight of his life. He said he's here to throw 120, 140 punches around. So we know what Chavez brings to the table when he's in shape. So if they're both looking to go to war, you can expect a war. And so it's going to be a great fight.
What's amazing, Rick, is Chavez, because he was almost born into this situation, and because of his, inconsistent conditioning, that sort of thing, I guess you could call it that, his work ethic, questionable work ethic, he doesn't get a lot of the credit that he really deserves, because he is one of the more proficient inside fighters in boxing. When he closes the distance on you, yeah, it's very hard to escape the short, compact hooks and uppercuts. Please talk about that. I mean, what makes Chavez such a proficient fighter? Because his only loss, well, at least on his record, his only loss is to Sergio Martinez. No shame in that, in which he almost stopped him in the final round. What makes Chavez so effective and seemingly underrated?
Well, being Chavez Jr., first of all, carrying the name of Junior, of one of the greatest Mexican fighters to ever live, people got to realize he's not his father. Chavez Jr. has never came out and said, hey, I'm better than my dad, or, he's trying to create his own legacy, and people need to realize that he's his own fighter. Now, what makes him so effective is every time it seems like he's, standing toe-to-toe or fighting inside, he always seems to figure out a way to create that distance. Never really smother himself, whether he's using elbows or, using his shoulder. He creates his distance to where he can land that big left to the body, come back over with a hook, and land them big, powerful shots that he throws. So, Brian Vera, on the other hand, is, when he fight a little inside, and you catch him sometimes, fighting backwards, trying to figure out how to create distance. So, when Chavez creates that distance, it makes him very, very dangerous. But, people just got to realize he's not his father. I mean, he's trying to create his own legacy. And I was very impressed with the fight against Sergio Martinez. A lot of guys he was outboxed for 11 rounds. Mm-hmm. Most guys, they put their clothes back on during the fight and just, hey, let me finish the fight, I guess, on my feet. He was still being effective, being aggressive. He was still trying to figure out a way to get to him. And in boxing, being Chavez Sr., remember Mildred Taylor? Mm-hmm. It's never over till the final bell rings. And, he almost had him. It was a good fight. But, he's creating his own legacy, and people need to realize that and, just kind of give him a little break a little bit. But he's, with Andy Lee, he's been in there with some good fighters, and, he's done a great job. So, I think it's going to be a great fight, though, Saturday.
What's amazing is speaking with Mr. Ronnie Shields, and we spoke to him on our Sunday night show, the Pugilist Corners Weekend Wrap, and he actually stated that, Brian Vera is working on speed. He is currently training with IBF Junior Middleweight title challenger, Mr. Jamal Charlo, who has a big fight on March 8th, and he's been working on speed. And if you notice in the first matchup, what gave Chavez a lot of trouble in that fight is he would not square up like he was customarily doing before he started working with Ronnie Shields at the Plex Gym. He would actually step to the side. He'd fire off quick combinations, step to the side, and kept turning Chavez. Do you expect more of the same in this fight?
Oh, yeah. I expect a little more of the same from Vera, maybe a little more. You know, when you got a guy like Ronnie Shields in your corner, man, that, you know, I guarantee you Ronnie Shields is not sleeping on this fight, you know, especially Vera, knowing this is probably the biggest fight of his career. Who knows if he loses, will he ever get this opportunity again? But, you know, when you got a guy like Ronnie Shields, I mean, those adjustments are going to be even better the next fight. And then especially them knowing, you know, feeling, he might not have saw the best Chavez Jr. that night. We can honestly say that. However, he did take some big shots that Chavez Jr. did hit him with. So him knowing the power that Chavez Jr. possesses, I think it's gonna be a lot more adjustments, a lot more angles. Him using the jab, doubling, tripling up the jab to get inside and go to work. So yeah, I think it's gonna be even a better fight than it was the first fight. And if Chavez Jr. comes in shape, expect fireworks, man. The sky's the limit on this fight. The Alamodome roof's gonna just blow off. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great night.
You know what's amazing is that seemingly was the I think biggest obstacle that Chavez had to overcome. Obviously, he hurt Brian Vera several times in that fight, but he seemingly did not have the conditioning to follow up. Do you expect to see Chavez, the old Chavez, the one that, well, just did a paint job on Mr. Andy Lee in the back half of the fight? I mean, so please give us your official prediction on this. How do you see this fight playing out? And who do you think is going to get their arm raised in victory on Saturday night, March 1st, San Antonio, Texas?
Well, you know, we saw Chavez Jr. here at the press conference a couple of weeks ago here in San Antonio, and he actually looked pretty good. You know, a month before, usually Chavez fights, you see his cheeks and his body just blowed up, his neck, and I mean, he looked really thin, as I heard. You know, I'm not correct on it, but I heard he was maybe like 8 pounds over his weight limit at the time. So, you know, I'm being from Texas, you know, I like to see Brian Vera win. He's a good friend, and you know, we got his back no matter what. But, you know, if I have to make a prediction, I'm going to have to go with Chavez. Like I said, coming with that chip on his shoulder, coming more in condition, coming with a better game plan, and taking Brian Vera a little more seriously in this fight. And I got a late round stoppage, Joseph.
So you don't think the judges are going to be a problem this time?
I think Chavez, like I said, stops him in the late rounds. I think just accumulation of punches catching up to him is the body work. I think, like I said, I just see Chavez Jr. coming in a little more conditioned, taking the fight a little bit more serious. I mean, these are guys that if Brian Vera loses, he might not get this opportunity again. If Chavez loses, you know, he's going to be taken as a real joke in the sport. You know, he's already getting all the criticism in the world for the last performance. So I think he, you know, gets a little matured in this fight, had a better training camp, probably been better conditioned, and I see him stopping Brian Vera in the late rounds.
Joseph Herron here with Rick Morones Jr., young, talented trainer from San Antonio, Texas, here at Team Morones Boxing Club, giving you the Boxing 411.